Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
This one is called In Search of Midnight. Somewhere in the cold night of Boise, Idaho, two women prepare to leave town together. They're tired of drawing public attention to the way they hold each other's hands. Couples in Boise do hold hands. They just don't look like these two. So they hit the road for California, where people still segregate themselves from each other. And every city's east side is feared by suburbans because the local news anchor seems to hate the east side. He reminds us every night on the nightly news just how dangerous it is with all of its minorities and crime. He prefers downtown at midnight, where he can afford to be a teenager again, and maybe even on top of one. And somewhere on the east side of Vancouver, British Columbia, a 14-year-old woman hops on a bus to get to Hastings Street downtown, where her body's worth so much more. She wonders if any girl has ever taken a pimp to the school prom and watches out for all the women who are younger than her. Dead mothers can't question a child who sleeps through the afternoon. When she has enough money, she'll catch a bus to Montreal or Toronto and dance for the rest of her life. But currently, it is midnight, and she has rent to make. At midnight in Denver, there are poets heating up their dinners on radiators and washing their clothes by hand because quarters are something to be saved for homeless people. At midnight in San Antonio, a man holds a party because the body warmth will heat up his house just long enough to get a few hours of sleep before teaching his elementary school class in the morning. At midnight in Portland, Oregon, a college student sleeps somewhere else every single night so she can continue her education. At midnight in Seattle, a man hears a poem that might keep him alive for one more day, maybe another, maybe two more. At midnight in Dallas, a DJ sells half of his record collection to feed a child he already supports through child support. At midnight in San Diego, an immigrant puts American cash in an envelope to be mailed back to his family in Mexico while eating his first Big Mac on his late night lunch break. At midnight in Oklahoma City, a teenager gets drunk for the first time and realizes it is the best thing to do when there's nothing else to do. At midnight in Chicago, a man sits in jail for the first time in his life for a crime he did not commit. He knows nobody will believe him because he knows all too well the color of his own skin. He marvels at how far we've come. At midnight in Minneapolis, a woman prays to her God for the first time in years because of something she heard on the news. And just directly across the street from her, a woman stops praying to her God for the first time in years because of something she heard on the street. She really wants tomorrow to be a better day. At midnight in San Jose, a fat man puts more food into his mouth to try to feel better about the world or simply forget it altogether. At midnight, throughout the rest of the world, people are exactly who they should be. They are you. And you are quite possibly someone you'll never share with anyone else. You are the ones who could leave hot food at the feet of sleeping homeless people and then worry about your next meal when no one's looking. You're the ones who may never function at noon, the ones everyone will say left the planet just a little too soon. You might not have tongues, but you have a lot to say. I know that I talk a lot, but I listen even more. You're doing what it takes to stay sane and alive. You're not wearing the finest clothes. You're online and searching. You're making free calls on phones you cannot afford in an attempt to reach out to yourselves, in an attempt to find perfection. Because whether it is within you or in someone near you, it must be out there. Somewhere out there, it must exist. It must be possible to achieve what we all want, because if it isn't, then midnight comes to us for no reason. That means we start over every single day for no reason. So there must be something perfect in this world. And I believe that it comes to us all at midnight. Hello, and thank you for selecting our Learning to Breathe Through the Stress audio meditation series, Track 1, Starting Over. Feel free to start this track over at any point if you feel the need to try again. As we begin, look around you. Get familiar with your surroundings. Look at the person next to you. Look them up and down. If they notice your perusal, smile and introduce yourself to them. Make a new friend. Sit closer. Listen to each other's silence. Now, face forward Be sure to stay in your seat. Keep your arms folded or lay them at your sides. Now, close your eyes and breathe in very deeply. If you feel the urge to fall asleep, chase that urge. Don't be afraid. We're all friends now. Envision a window to an open field. If you don't like open fields, go ahead and picture a white wall. If white things scare you, then imagine two red balls sitting on a checkerboard patterned floor floating in space. Now imagine the balls pressing themselves down to the floor as if gravity has taken over, beyond all human perception. Imagine that gravity releases the balls up into the air. The balls fly up into the void of space, then immediately fall back down toward you. Imagine the balls coming at you. Imagine the fear of the balls flying toward your face. Imagine two large red balls careening at you faster than sound. Imagine the impact of the two massively huge, red, maybe even pinkish balls coming right at your face hole. Imagine that upon impact, you are shocked that it hurts as much as it does. While the ginormous, rubbery, bouncing balls looked very soft and dodgeball-like, they actually feel more like concrete wrapped in broken glass, exploding in a rainbow of painful pain. In a flash, you wake up in the White House, and your chief of staff, along with your closest Secret Service agents, are staring down at you, fetal, under the desk in the Oval Office. All of the world's enemies have attacked, and you have retaliated with everything we have waiting below ground. It's up in the air now, and final. And in a flash, minus all the light, you are now a refugee in an overcrowded camp, dreaming of renting an apartment, owning a bus pass, and shoveling snow off of your walkway. And in a flash, minus all of the sulfur, you are now standing at the foot of a mass grave, holding buckets of lye, and it's your job to cover it with all of that dirt. And in a flash, minus all of the sound, you are now the engineer at the last concert of this audience's favorite band, and you know the equipment, but you've given up on making it perfect for them because someone you love stopped loving you back. And in a flash, minus all of the spark, you're the mother of three with enough food to feed one and no reason to choose. In a flash, minus all of the things that feel like a flash, you remember the most important thing. Breathe. You simply breathe. This is not your life, so breathe. We go backward through the mayhem, past outer space and bouncing red balls. We're back in this world. We return to this room with these people, and we all get to start over and try again. Try new things. Don't forget this world and the fact that you get so many choices and so many balls. 1. I've heard a lot of poems that begin with the number 1, then continue in a numbered sequence. I wonder if there's a name for poems such as these. 2. My intrigue has set me to write at least one poem in this numbered structure. 3. I feel I should find out more about this numbered structure. 4. I asked my friend Dave K. Eli'i if he knows the name of this sort of sequenced poetry. 5. He does not. 6. I send a text message to Victor Infante, a friend and most notable culprit of this style of poetry. He responds with, I don't know offhand, but I will research it when I get home. 7. I assume he is driving. I feel let down by his unknowing. I worry about his ability to drive safely while sending me a text message and while being so unaware of things in life. This is not the first time he's let me down. Once I asked to borrow $40 and he only had $36 in cash, so he had to PayPal me the other $4. It took forever. 8. Victor calls and explains that there is some contention in the literary world as to the true name of this style of poetry, but all agree that the sections between the numbers are cantos. 9. This is a canto. 10. So is this. 11. Ezra Pound is notable for writing a long love poem consisting of 120 cantos. 12. That's way too many fucking cantos. 13. This style of poetry often feels like an easy way to tie together a bunch of unrelated topics. 14. I'm not as interested in this poetic structure anymore. I would rather that my poetry had a consistent theme and maintained the original sentiment, yet allowed it to grow beyond the first verse, to express myself while seeking resolve, solution, and or catharsis. It is too easy to veer away from the initial concept of the poem. 15. It saddens me when pet owners put sweaters and hats on their pets. 16, I cannot breakdance and I have to accept the fact that I probably never will. 17, I should never write one of these poems again since I don't know how to end it. 18, weird cursing for no reason is hilarious and probably not a good way to end a poem, especially if it ended awkwardly and abruptly. 19, shit lips and short boners.
Keeping my distance, making my space, taking my time, figure eights with my hips, twists of my wrists, mimic your blood pumping heart pace. Bend my knees and dip down low, nice and slow, eye contact closing the space between us. Return to standing, following your eyes, following me. In time with the music, slink left, slink right. My hips move just right. Your breath gets tight. Turn around and feel your sight. Flick left, flick right. The recoil hits you just right. Your pants growing tight. What a beautiful sight. Closer, closer, your eyes draw me closer. Your hungry tongue licking your lips. Tongues it promises to make my lips speak. Promises it won't be allowed to keep. But the lie still adrenalizes me. Curves gyrate, kaleidoscope, soar you to the cosmos, astronomically naughty. This delicious tension in my body won't abate, not until later when I become my own master of my body sensate. Your searing gaze I can't seem to escape. Heat floods my blood up from my toes, my chest, to my nape. Now, what can I do to leave your mouth agape? Closer, closer, your eyes draw me closer. Your hungry tongue licking your lips. Tongues it promises to make my lips speak. Promises it won't be allowed to keep. But the lie still adrenalizes me close, so close now I can feel your body heat. My sweat trickles down and tickles your skin. You adjust in your seat. Your gasp for air, so sweet. The air in hyperspace is thin. Withholding your impure impulse to satisfy your pulse, you hold me captive with the promises I won't win. Closer, closer, your heat draws me in, your hungry tongue licking your lips, tongues you promise to make my lips speak, promises you can't possibly keep. But the lie still adrenalizes me. Though a lie, this dance awakens me, a moment in time I'll take home with me.
Keeping my distance, taking my space, taking this time to feel out these feelings, to confirm their meanings as body temperature reaches for the ceiling in the style of how tortured souls clamor for salvation as I try to synchronize my palpitations to your every groove, grind, and gyration, and every sensual application that aids to my penile inflation. Baby, teach me some sex education with more of your subtle stimulation. You dictate the pace in this hormonal workspace. Let's get more vulgar than a Victorian societal act of disgrace. Allow my eyes to be worn by you from your toes up to your face, all while as my mind takes me to fun places. Closer, closer. You edge me closer as you have me at the edge of my seat. Reckless abandon can be a carnal treat if your appetite calls for the taste of dark meat. There's no need to be discreet if we both want the heat. So let's sweat. Let's get wild and wet. Let's finish what we started with no regrets. I dare you to blow my mind and make me never forget your name.
My therapist says that the disembodied voice in my head, the one that criticizes and demeans, the one that drips judgment down my spine and poison in my ear, the one that sounds just like my mother, is not my mother. My therapist says that it's not fair to her or me to take all my negativity and assign it thusly. That though my mother may have scattered those seeds, I tended the garden. That she may have sung me to sleep to the tune of my inadequacies, but I am the choir now. That she may have taught me how to shoot the gun, but I am the one aiming it. My finger is the one on that trigger. This voice in my head that sounds like my mother, but also her mother before her and her mother before her, is a lamentation paid forward, a generational condemnation. Beget, begat, begot, begotten, the point never forgotten. The core of us is rotten. My therapist says that not all traditions are worth keeping. Better off sweeping them under the rug than weeping through the keeping. My self-hatred may be a legacy, but she tells me that you can always pawn an heirloom. She says that this voice is actually quite normal, that most people have one. I ask if they always sound like their mothers. She says not always, but too often. I ask how others live or thrive with this poison in their mind. How do they get up each day, try their best, and still find a way to fail and flail along the thorny trail? My therapist says, I don't know. How are you doing it? To be honest, I didn't realize I was. You're here, she says. And though she makes a valid point, I still have that voice. And if it's not my mother, as she says, who is it? Is it me? If the gun I was given isn't aimed at me, where should I point it? Who becomes the target? My therapist asks why I don't just put the gun down. I'm embarrassed to say that never occurred to me.
It's not how you think it would be. Standing in someone's crosshairs, there's a thin line between hero and hashtag, and you have no plans to be either. After the last time I treated death, my cousin told me the bigger the gun, the closer you have to be to the shooter to survive the shot. Standing chest to barrel, his voice is the only thing I hear. He says, flight or fight are my only options, and I am not ready to grow wings. His voice in my head says, if the man is not trembling, he will not shoot you. Only scared men make rash decisions. Listen, do not mistake this poem for advice. You'll almost never make it out alive. When trauma becomes a punchline, you tend to laugh in the face of danger. Laugh to keep from crying. I laughed. He lowers the barrel. He says, wow, you wasn't even scared. I knew there was a reason I liked you. I guess most urban hunters love an easy target, a deer in headlights. When I'm alone again, the levees in my eyelids break and I drown in emotion. There is a thin line between hero and hashtag. Looks a lot like lucky, like blessed, like me. Feels too much like survivor's guilt. Like, why doesn't anyone else make it home to cry alone? It's funny. It doesn't always feel good to survive. My cousin has no advice for aftermath. He says, most of us don't make it this far. He says, be happy you're on a phone call and not a t-shirt. That no matter how traumatic it is, this is a memory and not a memorial service. I am used to the grief when the bullet leaves its chamber and finds itself a home in the body of someone I love. But I was not prepared for the pain you feel when the bullet sits at your front doorstep and then leaves quietly.
It's called Bed Sheets. Bed sheets smell like sour milk, soak up sweat, should be changed more often than I'd like to admit, that I savor the smell of my own stench, my own safety, my own sex is like summer, sticky, sweaty, damp as dew on morning blades of your razor still sit in a cup on my bathroom counter, dull and clogged with sharp hairs that have since softened, like the memory of your hip bones I used to trace with my finger, now traces the curve of my own soft belly. Pull comforter across my achy winter body, familiar scent of sour milk. These new sheets were never tarnished by your touch, but your shadow sleeps in bed next to my December body. Sometimes I feel your ghostly outline pull my body back towards yours, how we fit together like kidney beans, my bottom curved into your hollow cave, knees nestled into knees, in the bed of sour milk and safety, and in the bed of sour milk and sex and safety began to feel like a foreign country that I visited once but could not remember the cities where I'd stayed. Only flashes of colorful temples, loose landscapes, memorable meals were always our sanctuary, sharing samosas across tables and teacups,
Street tacos on curbs, oily juice sliding down the backside of my arm onto pavement, like drops of blood you left Rorschached on my dashboard after a Thursday afternoon pickup. Wild-eyed stranger I did not recognize until I was in too deep, and my bed sheets were ours, and my home was no longer my sanctuary, more confine than comfort, more lockbox than livable, lines drawn in the sand on California coastlines you pedaled to with the strength of Achilles, murdering miles before sunset while I waited for you at the finish line. Cycling days were eating days, not drinking days of day after day, drunk on anger and regret, time traveling portals to the past, the point of no return. But I am right here, feet on the hardwood kitchen floor, spatula in hand, heat from the stove and your unsteady body against mine, pleading with you not to take another trip down the street tonight. I just want peace and kidney beans and your foot looking for mine at the foot of the bed, sheets of sour milk and soured safety. And now solitude feels like liberation and letting go and love lost and longing and a lullaby to myself because I will sleep tonight.
Is called Abstract Lithium Factory. Sometimes cigars are just cigars, like Freud said. A boy turned man still sleeping in mom's bed. Sometimes I pine over the fact that I'm not dead. I'm well-read, I'm educated, I'm full of enough cred. Abilities to command synthetic symmetry. It's humbling, the essential part of me nobody likes to see. When it rears its head, everyone is an enemy. They're full of enmity. The animus is on a CD that looms on loop in the back of my brain electronically. I'm hopelessly paralyzed. I know there's something wrong with the way I feel about everything. I plead, what is wrong with me? As blaring siren peal repeals all rationality. Can I hope for change? And is it fixable, this part of me? The play's the thing, and I always hate not knowing how to be. I'm sentient, fully aware, and beginning to see exactly how I smile and wave to hide misplaced anxiety. I shouldn't be around other people. I'm a flight risk, subtly climbing in their head and hiding there like a benign cyst. It's devilish, I'm charming, but I'm also selfish. If I sell fish, I'm fishing my hand in the charity jar for $1.06. Why should they get it anyway when they don't pay rent? I've given enough to hospitals. At this point, it's ridiculous that I should break my back just to piss away my hard-earned bucks to this. I have a sixth sense that says I shouldn't give my 6 cents to sick kids. My neurons fire across crisscross lattices. I follow up cogent thought with non sequitur tangents. It's uncanny how I link things and expect others to manage or even fathom the fathom's deep hair holes of a mind manic. But here I go again, so why don't you all take a pass at stepping a beat inside my head as I step through the looking glass? I'm not a rapper, I'm a poet. I'm a word adapter, a hapless addict to rapping seamless syntax that doesn't tatter, but never sees the light of day. It's lightning that I'm after as I seize the swirling seas in my head comprised of idle chatter. I seldom canter, I air pedantic. I'm after a higher calling than a spot in the echo chambers of mindless chowder. That's right away cut to the lean soul and write rhymes fatter than mad lads leaping high off of tall ladders, their ankles shattered. But all this style without substance contains no heart, no candor. It's by and large the same, empty drivel passing for witty banter. If I could dribble just a moment on this tangent matter, rhyming for the sake of style proves no easy endeavor. But only with the touch of a deft hand, light as a feather, may it come together all at the very end, and for that be better. But even the best distractions must retire. When the thrill is gone, life returns with a tire iron. I'm convinced that in a past go, I must have played with fire and stoked the ire of a being higher than I after inhaling a rail of barbed wire. The bump leaves me elated. Glory sings the choir. It trains its eyes on me, but I'm too goddamn tired. My vision narrows and I can't seem to sire a plan to emerge victorious from the quagmire. What can I say? Self-amnesty is hard for me. In my shoddy packaging, grace came hardly. I was dropped a drop on the doorstep of a house party where I graced a happy home, a most unfortunate adoptee. What's the point of getting good things given heartily when for some non-inchoate part of me, my success is not what it wants to see? I've lost morale before, but these wounds bleed mortally. I'm morally opposed to not stopping the problem, but the problem's me. Hello, how are you? I'm pleased to meet you so cordially. You can call me Icarus. Please avail yourself of my canopy. From my perch, I view the ground with utter apathy. Colors and shapes I cannot relate to threaten my sanity. I'm not really a part of your world, only partially. Insofar as my being here without any sincerity can seriously be considered as more than anomaly, and verily, is he a waste of imparity, he who cares nothing for his own posterity? I've given myself too many reasons for new austerity. My own polarity pollutes my life with too much severity, self-barbarity of endless temerity and asperity. Hospice can provide me no care. I mean, this is verity. If this is really it for me, there is no angularity. I understand the decision to seize my cellularity. And if things do go that way, I can tender meager clarity in the form of 4 more pseudo-sonnets offered voluntarily.
Poem is called Woman, Life, Freedom. I am only one small child in a clan of women who have preserved all we know since the beginning of time in the way we move our hands and hips and the path our hair carves through the breeze. In other times and more forgiving places, my sisters freed their fingers of rings that bind them in unquestionable subservience and loosed their milk to flow at bus stops, beaches, and in classrooms that welcome them with my nieces and nephews in their arms. Yet still we fight for freedom and life. For even after thousands of journeys of the moon since our prophets walked our hallowed hills, I am not yet my own when I leave my father's home or bring my howling legacy into the world, but only when my spirit folds my lifeless arms across my chest and departs this plane for the last time. My second poem is called Fire Bloom. When you have always been known as too intense, there comes a time when you no longer ask whether this is true or just their way of nudging you into an ever smaller space. For all you have ever known is the urge to stand in the flames until your heart bursts with all-consuming heat and joy. You have learned to turn up your lips into what passes for a mild smile. For none asks fire to change its ways. The ponderosa pine is immune from questions about why its skin hangs shaggy like unmatched pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. To repel glancing flames, none looks askance at the short-leaf pine who buries her buds among outstretched roots that she may fight fire with fire after a blaze, or ask why the pines, hickory and prickly, seal their cones inside waxy coats until scorching heat forces their hands to spill their secrets across the forest floor. You have never understood the epithets that try to give the bad rap to passion, for you are no different than the dry land trees who must bravely meet fire with grace to survive.
Today, I almost refuse to remember you. I shuttered the windows of memory, forgetting that windows are not glass, but the space that remains when the glass is shattered. I forgot that when we throw stones at our own glass houses, they pile up and form a headstone right at the front of our door. And the world wonders why sometimes we wake up dead to love and all its suggestions, and several unmarked graves of questions. I almost refuse to remember your name. I forgot that windows are not glass, but the empty space that remains when the glass is now a sharp heap of cuts for wounds of the gut that will bleed only on the inside, the heart drowning in its own blood. This empty space that has left me vulnerable to gusts of wind, scattering your love letters across my conscience, picking up speed with every breath that I take, making me wish I could not read, but all my years in class seem to have prepared me for this day. poetry, where I understand even the hidden, unwritten meanings in all of this. I try to unlearn the alphabet at the same speed that your love letters form their own, a new 26 letters of words that make it crystal clear. The whole thesis of why you're here. It won't even need me to be literate to realize that it's deliberate. It's deliberate because you know damn well I can read the writing on the wall. We formed our own language, remember? Yes, it says, you are not there at all. In large print. Even my mother, who never spent a day in school in a lifetime, took the hint. It is as if someone you picked out of a lineup translated this perfect crime up to the second that everyone who is able to see what the pain of you living did to me can understand without learning its lesson. I forgot that windows are not like prison glass that never shatters. So when I threw a rock at your memory, it revealed you afresh to me, as if saying, get off the phone. I'm here. Touch my elusive face. As if saying I was free to let you imprison me again in your lies. In my lies, the web of lies that we told each other. And when I try to escape my dreams and wander aimlessly into daytime, I still fail to ignore this perfect onslaught you have devised. Because now, all of a sudden, every shop in my radius is selling your favorite dress. And I could save up and buy each and every one of those evil things and burn them. But you are dead certain that I could not convince you to remove the one you wear in my mind. And if you did, your nakedness is a living statue that I would need another lifetime to uproot. I think my mistake was that when I had decided to let go of you initially, I accidentally pegged myself inside my own bag so I could not leave. You just threw them right back into your closet. And the more I screamed to be released, the more I seemed to fold, just like my clothes. Zomkhonto.
This is a love poem, but not to any person, people, place, or position. No, this is a love poem to a specific substance, one that we're all familiar with, but we rarely consider during times of naughty. That substance is pudding. Ladies, gentlemen, and others, I need you to pretend that you're not here for these words. They're very personal. I'm concerned with your safety. Those of you experiencing pangs of hunger, I urge you to leave the room, for this is about to become porn for fat people. Those of you who wish to stay and experience gourmet eroticism, please visualize along with me. Picture a buffet unlike any other, where beautiful people of your dreams have gathered to feed you the silky delicacy known as pudding. Imagine that they are also enveloped by ecstasy, so into the feast, they keep referring to this magnificent substance as pudding. So drawn to it, so aroused by it, they forget the letter G. I would like to take a moment to speak directly to that for whom this poem was written. Hello, pudding. Oh, how I miss you, baby. How I long to be near your bowl with a very tiny spoon so that I can take my time and enjoy you. To caress your shapeless existence, to watch you do that gelatinous jiggle you do so well just before I consume you with all the passion I learned from Chris Farley himself. God damn you, pudding! How dare you disguise yourself? Who will you be tonight, my sweet? Maybe a bowl of tapioca? A taste of butterscotch? Or will you be more complex, donning a vanilla chocolate ripple, hiding away in my freezer, hugging a stick and only succumbing to the name Pudding Pop? Oh, pudding! You are my pudding daddy. Temptation is for the weak, so please call me Weekly Weakerson when I am near you. Me and my band to the Weak Tones will play you songs of desire and merriment, and if that doesn't work for you, my dear sweet pudding, I can always put on my Marlon Brando costume, the one that seems to turn you on the most, the one that gets you all thick and creamy. Pudding, the horror, the horror. Oh, pudding, I could just drink you from a boba straw out my front yard, naked in an inflatable kiddie pool full of you. You look, the envy and confusion of all those walking by would make it well worth the effort. We interrupt this poem to bring you a random Scotsman. Hello, look at all of you beautiful people. You look so sexy. So many babies have an opportunity to be conceived tonight. I wish you luck, and I hope no one in here accidentally has sex to Christmas music later on tonight. I could cover myself with you and go as you to a masquerade ball. People would want to lick you off of me, but I will say, no, I will lick me because I have a tongue, my own tongue, and a book on yoga. However, our love is limited, for I've discovered that my colon cannot tolerate our passion much longer, for you are composed of the blood of milk and sugar, and I would much rather die than make you with water and sweetener. So let us call for one last night of passion. For now, and for no good reason, I will summon the spirit of Bill Clinton and say to you this. Hey, Puddin', I'm gonna miss you. Your cream made me cream. Who knew I could fill my trousers with my own pudding? Remember that one time you made me scoop it up with a cracker and eat it? If I recall correctly, you referred to it as pudding on the Ritz. We had some good times, love, fucking A. In conclusion, my dearest sweet pudding, just know that forever I will spell love, Puddin. I forget the next letter, but know that my love for you will never be consumed.
Top of the food chain, top of the food chain. I'm a human man, so soon I'm gonna eat you. Top of the food chain, top of the food chain. I'm a human man, so soon I'm gonna eat you. Top of the food chain, top of the food chain. I crave you, so allow me to devour you, cause that's the only way I know how to interact with you. I once ate a nice fatty goose liver. Now I'm gonna force feed geese. I'm such a giver. I wanna eat it year round. Keep up my facade. There are no natural cycles because I am my own god. Top of the food chain, top of the food chain. I'm a human man, so soon I'm gonna eat you. Let me eat my danger, fugu or pufferfish, gambling to not blow my life on one freaky dish. The first bite, living on edge, my heart palpitates, life so boring, I only feel alive while testing the fates. Top of the food chain, top of the food chain, I'm a human man, so soon I'm gonna eat you. I can make more money if I grow too much corn. This government money's starting to feel like porn. I'll fuck the ecosystem, I'll fuck your health, feed you corn syrup, give you fatty livers. I'll take the wealth. Top of the food chain, top of the food chain. I'm a human man, so let me devour you, cause that's the only way I know how to interact with you. Your type always obsessed with the fountain of life, and yet you'll risk neurotoxins just to feel alive. Fattening human livers with a corn syrup noose. Human foie gras is gonna be devoured, so now who's the goose? Top of the food chain, top of the food chain, you're a human man, so the maggots will devour you. Top of the food chain, top of the food chain, you're a human man, so the maggots will devour you. Top of the food chain, top of the food chain, the top is a lie that someone told you, but decomposes how you'll find your worth, life reclaiming you.
Oh, Crab Rangoon, you fill me up with fulfillments when you're filling face plants onto the field of my taste buds. Every time I have you inside my oral cavern, I cannot help but want to crush you with my stalagmite teeth and swallow you into my abyss while I enjoy feeling you disintegrate slowly under my pressure as you slide all the way down to the pit of my being. Oh, Crab Rangoon, you perfectly highly addictive, yet perfectly legal drug. And yes, I said drug. Have you ever eaten one and not feel dopamine and serotonin flood through every mini vessel in your being with the utmost sense of culinary nirvana? Oh, Crab Rangoon, you are the Asian equivalents to Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop. In life, there should be only two, count them, two universal defining periods. Life before and after accepting Crab Rangoon as your Lord, Savior, and demigod. Oh, Crab Rangoon. Hold up, lost my place. Oh, Crab Rangoon, you miracle of life. If you were made in your original pure form, the pharmaceutical industry would cease to exist because you cure all. I'll never forget that one time I had a stomach ache, and you, with your crunchy exterior and your cheesy, creamy, crabby holiness, Oh, Crab Rangoon, you are the body of Christ. Your healing powers influenced me to start an underground street fighting club called Crab Rangoon Club. And damn right, the first rule of Crab Rangoon Club is that we definitely talk about Crab Rangoon Club. Oh, Crab Rangoon, the joy and despair of all, how they rewrote the history books. You, Crab Rangoon, every 80s power ballad and 70s adult film was inspired by you in some weird way by a rich, sexual, white chocolate. Oh, Crab Rangoon, I am a goon for you, always have and always will.
An ode to my puppy. When I got a puppy, when I got you, I thought, how hard can it be? It's not a baby. Turns out it is a baby, just not a human one. After the sleepless nights, housebreaking nightmares, and the teething chaos, I left many an early morning incoherent moaning message asking if my mother wanted to, by any chance, adopt a puppy. I just happened to have one available. I wondered if I had made a terrible mistake, but I had not. Because of the part I did not expect. You see, I expected to love you, and I do. I also hate you a bit sometimes. What I did not expect was how you would love me, that I would be your entire world. I'd never been a being's whole world before. I thought I knew how to love. I knew how to give it, how to glow with it, how to show it, but I didn't know that I didn't know how to receive it, how to accept it. I had no idea how humbling the experience of being deeply loved can be, that you must surrender the sundry inadequacies that you see in yourself and accept that there is something worthy in you because another party says so. I thought love was something you earned, like a grade or a paycheck, but you taught me it's a gift freely given without strings or even reciprocity. How can that be? It's an ordinary miracle, you see. Now, ours is not a perfect love, because I am not perfect, and you are far from it. You eat garbage sometimes. Don't lie, I saw you do it. I said leave it. You just chewed faster. Then you tried to lick my face with your garbage mouth. I did not let you. I think you were offended. You grumble when I wake you from a nap. You sulk when I pry loose Kleenex from your jaw. Your resentment is palpable when I make you wear boots. But the salt hurts your feet and the Kleenex isn't food. And you're so cute when you sleep that I have to give you kisses, even if they wake you up and make you grumpy. You're so cute when you're grumpy. What I'm saying is, I love you too, you scruffy little weirdo.
Let me tell you a story about the boy who cried gun, even though there wasn't one. It seemed everyone believed him. They said he howled at that white moon too loud, or maybe he whistled. That part isn't clear. But when they fished his body out the river, it was clear he was a sheep they tried to wrap in wolf's clothing. At another time, it was the girl who cried gun, but this time it wasn't a gun either. It was a taser, and it was in her own hands, Little Red Riding Hood reaching into her basket of tricks, and somehow, still, she was the one shot. Couldn't seem to get the story straight, or the weapon, or the apology that came after, but somehow it was the wolf's fault. It always is. And another time, it was the boy who cried gun, but this time he was almost right, even if it was just a toy gun. I wonder if the wolf used it to play cops and robbers, finally got to be sheriff, called for backup, and got robbed of his life. They say they couldn't tell that the wolf was smiling, just that he showed his teeth, and that was enough to believe they were in danger, feared for their lives. And another time, yes, another time, the boy cried gun, and this time, ooh, messed up. All right. Another time, the boy cried gun, and the village saw 46 shots hit the wolf's body. Or Goldilocks enter the wolf's apartment, yells gun. When you are the wolf in the story, there is no happy ever after, no once upon a time. You are not a fairy tale. Last night, I heard the boy cry gun, and I felt my body tense up, my hair stand on end, salivating at the thought of making it home safe. But I know it is up to the village to tell the story. So when y'all tell my story, tell them that the wolf was really just a girl, and the moon really just the moon. But if that cop yells gun, y'all better make him prove it.
This is Tidwell LLC. Growing up, I played Mad Libs and listened to Mad Villainy. I taught myself how to ad lib and experimented lyrically. Wicked lines to break the wicked lines, but make it sexy. Re-inspired at 23. In 40 years, I'll be 60. In another, I'll be 25, assuming that I'm still alive and not burrowing. Buried beneath the floorboards, I refuse to rest on my laurels. It's my duty to continue improving my little shop of floral flows and benedictions. Cumberbatch, surely locked behind a promising young talent, imbibes twice daily to quiet a mind impious frantic, and ain't that just the way? It's always heyday when you're on tour. Life's a parade for a soul often taciturn, but nonetheless convivial, apparently. It's imperative that they keep searching for the beauty in the world, not consuming or engaging only with what the monologue is saying. Pray for me, purposefully. Personally, I'm sick of baying at the gates of a God who cannot be bothered to acknowledge my cries. A case of white lies predicated on white lies, classic. There's entendre there if you even care to read between the lines. No pressure. I know you're busy and I wish not to waste your time. It's precious to me. You are precious to me. See, without you, I'm nothing. I need you to validate my art, to tell me that this vocation is worth the blood, sweat, and tears, that it is something bigger than me, to be told that I'm worthy, that these anxieties can't hurt me or touch me. Have I earned your trust? Am I trustworthy? Am I believable? Someone has to be, right? So do I command your belief? Or am I just another fiction? To my Baroque baby brother, whom I smothered in the ribs, I was going on 18. You were only 6 teenagers, both sick mortally, but old enough to know better. Weathering each other's weather just became the status quo. It's too bad, really, and though I'm still reeling, I'm glad for you. I sincerely hope it's better, your life, without me in it. Is it true that I too may be better off bereft of your presence? On whom now am I to lavish presents whene'er I'm feeling altruistic? I'm too generous for a hedonist, for an idiot, a ventriloquist. So silly it's looking back, but it's so pretty in the rear view. At least I got some modicum of enjoyment out of it before it up and dove nose first out of the back window. The metaphor examined blurs, but I'll forever stand beside my words, for I'm a goofball with conviction. Sam Adams on the rocks, well is fine. I'm on a mission. I'm desperate for admission to a specific sphere of religion, an earnest coterie. A movable meal for souls of artist manifests who bleed ink until their canvas is properly soaked through, workshopping whatever they deem as less. A test I'm confident I not now pass. I'm insecure, diffident, and I think you know the. Gaze deep into my soul through these pasteurized words until my rasterized green eyes deliver unto you new worlds. Hey, look only at the screen in front of you. Single file lines, single file lines. You hear that? Sit down when the teacher's talking. I hear teaching's the best way to learn, so maybe I'll take a turn and cut my teeth on cafeteria lunch meat. No sanitary salad option or eager lunch ladies to make ends meet daily. They work for 2 salaries, minimum wage for working overtime hourly. How cowardly, the flowery, omniscient powers that be. But industry is nothing in the face of true artistry. But it's a man's world, and men want shiny things, shiny suits and shiny cars. What a handful of windfall provides flush in shiny spades. Tip a dollar, till a seed, save a life, shade yourself under a prepaid debit card. Discover that the cover image is a royal blue Corvette, an American reimagining of a coquette show set in the pounding heart of Amsterdam. Am I proud to be an American? Am I proud to be here? I know myself, and I'm hardly proud to be me, but what is America? What is pride? Maybe I really wasn't there. I swear I was, but I suppose it doesn't matter since everything is caught on camera nowadays. I'm spiraling in circles, don't know which way yet. Check back in a couple days. I'll try my best to paraphrase. This is FHK. Autumn blooms, winter wails, green looms, white whales, pink walls, house of cards, a taste that never turns stale. In my eyes, it may as well be the main course of the whole event. I like coming to another's aid. What can I say? I'm generous. Kendrick said that last line would obviate recognition. Break these walls down with a foray of forehead kisses. Delicious. Eyes open from below provides a striking view. The staff strikes only once it knows a river's rushing through. Jet streams gently encourage the jetties to move. I'm incorrigible. What's that? You don't fancy my attitude? Come find out firsthand just what this loud mouth can do. Smooth nails on paper skin beckoning up and back. The carry case of an arrow, tug of hair, a stifled gasp, a crumbling composure no longer possible to mask. Tantalus salvation draped just beyond her grasp. As our delicate dalliance dances toward a confident crescendo, a couple of requests before it's officially time to let go. Hold tight to this ballet. It has nearly breathed its last. Hold tight to this emotion, blithely joyful, unabashed. Hold tight to this feeling, swell endorphin tides in mass. Hold tight to this moment. All good things must one day pass.
If you peer closely into the lagoon, you must see it is anything but blue, but better it is everything and blue. There is a bit of the green that shaded us when we were young and our promises too. There are the rose petals that unfolded as you raised your hands for the bouquet. And there is the mauve that burdened our conclusions in our final months and days, yet woven into the undulating surface of the water, frozen gray like love that seeks a fireside in winter, threads of hazy tangerine sunshine, whose flavor lingers on the tongue where golden kisses leave their indelible scent. And this afternoon, my second poem, specifically because I seldom have the privilege of reading for my daughter, who is here beside me. My daughter reminds me. Just this morning, my daughter says, "Mama, it's time to update your will." Sure, no problem, dead easy. I'm the kind of person with a slim binder for insurance forms, another for appliance booklets, never consulted but well filed, and a pair, the 3-inch kind, for all the immigration papers amassed on the endless field trip that has been our life together. Account numbers and passwords and filing places, the simple part. Suddenly, I was facing the end of the document that would mark my final footsteps with my daughter. I had to pause and sit mid-hunt for balances on one of those blue boxes in the pantry that holds baby books and high school trophies. For she has lived in my heart and mind since the day I dreamed of dolphins and knew beyond knowing she was coming. As her puppy promised, she has been the proudest work of my life, and I am so grateful for every single one of the hours we have shared, including those I fretted out at the airport till she got home from Puerto Rico, where she had taken off with a friend in middle school to see the girl's dad, but forgot to mention that she was going. She is my heart and every bit of my life as I imagine a new chapter beyond this plane, where I pray my love for her will illuminate her life the way her Sagittarian topaz has always bedazzled mine. Here in this windowless cupboard, my ears tremble with her sweet soprano, the voice I know one day will ignite the smiles of my grandchildren, and I unhitch my breath, knowing I will meet her tonight and forever at every full moon.
Pep talks in the ghetto are not usually pep talks, but trauma dumps. towering giants brutally crumbling like sawdust upon their sons, because for years invisible hands have been chipping away at their own self-esteem, their loose screws unraveling from limbs that have become accustomed to bringing hammers down upon steel. Sometimes they confuse that steel for their own children's limbs. These drunken men who will bend to nobody's will but colonialism, chained to the same freedom train that never left the system, and the few times that it did, it ran over their own kids and had to be brought back to the station to clean out the blood and make it glimmer again, while the speakers repeat the message to moan in peace and then repeats the pain. I had friends as a child that were so afraid to go back home. Oh, so little did I know their skins were fire pits. And what I thought was just ashy skin through holes in their clothes was actually loud-mouthed, drunken souls that only healed when they played with us. But that when they started walking home again, those wounds filled afresh with pus. Now I know why they never spoke so much. We did not know why they withdrew from touch, so we left them out of tag teams. But if I had the means today, I would seek them with a Midas touch, turn their smiles into gold, because, oh, how rich their laughter. Can you believe they laughed in paragraphs? It is a hard thing as a child to watch another child be sad, so together we prayed for change every chance that we had. Change for hot buns, change for ice cream, change for movies, change for dreams. Man is a different kind of misfit. We know when to change a tire, but if our own communities are losing air, we puncture their lungs some more, losing all desire to breathe as one. Then sit and watch drunk fathers dump trauma upon the shaved heads of their sons. And from across the street, adding to the speech that pep talks in the ghetto are meant to be angry. Because, God damn it, we are angry that we could be such happy people and yet the world see only our ugliness. So we start hammering away at any love that stammers into our day, walking past storm mirrors, wanting our face to change. Because every inch of darkness is its own bout of pain. But oh, colonialism did a number system on our relatives. Some of them left for South Africa and came back as shimmering corpses that tell no single story of where they have been. And what you do not know is that this is the first time anyone applied anything on their skin, covering knife scars that peer through the balm, looking calm, but you know their life was rough. Knowing they wanted it to stop, because you can see that the knife scars are not just a gang of rivers flowing to nowhere, but that there are parts where they trail off and disappear, a change in the tide, like leaning over their graves and throwing some change inside and watch it land on the rose petals and wish those metal round pieces of miracles by them land on the other side. Zomkhonto.